Hello everyone! Have you been enjoying your summer? Do you want to know if the next batch of servants are good enough to spend your hard-earned quartz on? Great! Then welcome back to the Gacha Guide and allow me to give you the information necessary. Today's topic servant is the devilish Kohai herself, Summer BB. We will be covering the points that you can see on screen, so let's just go ahead and jump right into her stats. Summer BB is a 5-star AoE Moon Cancer class servant, meaning she is strong against Avengers and weak versus rulers. She has 11,182 attack at level 90, while her HP is 14,812. She is the only 5-star Moon Cancer in the game once her banner drops. Her hidden stats show that her NP gain per hit is at 0.61%, which is a little bit above average, and her and as for her cards, her quick card has 4 hits, her arts card has 3 hits, her buster cards have 5 hits, and her extra card has 4 hits. Above average hit counts overall, so pretty decent. Her star weight, aka her priority for getting critical stars on her cards over other servants, is 52, which is not particularly high, it's a little bit low overall, while her star creation rate is 14.8%, which is a little bit above average to help make up for that. As for her deck in Noble Phantasm, her deck contains 2 arts cards, 1 quick card, and 2 buster cards, our standard 2-1-2 deck. Her Noble Phantasm, Cursed Cutting Crater, CCC, is an AoE buster Noble Phantasm with 3 hits. It will deal damage to enemies, reduce their NP gauge by 1, and has a chance to further reduce that MP gauge by 1 more, between 10 to 50% based on your overcharge. Overall, this is a pretty good MP, especially with the ability to stall enemy MPs out, and can be a very strong instrument in setting up for a long fight. As for her passives, she's got 4 of them. First off, Territory Creation A gives her a 10% increase to her arts performance. The One Who Swallows the Earth EX gives her burn debuff immunity entirely. Existence Outside the Domain B gives her 2 critical stars per turn and increases her debuff resistance by 8%. And Goddess's Essence A increases her damage by 250% while giving her further debuff resistance by 25%. Overall, these are pretty okay, decent passives. Nothing particularly great, with the exception of the One Who Swallows the Earth giving her pure burn debuff immunity, which can be extremely strong in certain gimmick battles. Normally, Territory Creation is a very, very good ability to have, but considering she isn't an arts servant, this is only pretty good instead of amazing. Moving on to her skills. First off, we have Self-Modification, EX. This increases her critical damage and critical star absorption for 3 turns. The critical damage is increased by 20 to 50% based on level, and the star absorption is between 400 and 800% based on level, at a 5-turn cooldown at max rank, giving it an effective 2-turn cooldown. This is a very strong skill. It is basically the ideal crit damage up skill. Not only is it a powerful crit damage up at 50% for 3 turns, but it also gives you higher star absorption to guarantee that that crit skill has value. Very, very good. Next up, we have Aurea Porkpokua, the Golden Pig Grail, and this is kind of a one-in-all skill. It charges her own MP gauge between 30 and 50% based on level, recovers her HP between 1,000 and 3,000 based on level, increases her buster performance for 3 turns between 10 and 20% based on level, increases her NP damage for 3 turns between 30 and 50% per level, and also gives her 1 hit of evasion that lasts for 3 turns. This is crazy how much this skill does. Just one of her effects, that 50% MP charge, is better than some other servants' entire skills. For example, compare that to Summer Ushiwaka's first skill. And yet, it has more, and more, and more, and more. 4 extra skills layered onto it. An insanely crazy good skill. And the best part is, It's not even her best skill. Her final skill, Faceless Moon. This locks in the command cards you have been dealt for 3 turns, while also producing 5 to 10 stars per turn based on your skill level during that duration. Despite her other skills being very good, this is her strongest skill. This is one of the best support skills in the game. It allows you to guarantee 3 turns of your damage dealer's cards being locked in. If you want to have a Buster, Buster, Buster turn 3 turns in a row from your damage dealer, you can do it, while also providing some star gen for them. This skill has massive potential and enables some disgustingly strong setups. The only way to break this skill, and it can be broken, is if a party member is defeated, or you do an order change, or you shuffle your command cards. That will negate the skill and turn it off. But while it's on, that's a crazy strong skill. So, what materials do we need to level up these skills? Since they're so good, they must be expensive, right? Wrong! BB skills are extremely easy to level up and very cheap to do so. Unlike normal level up conventions, BB takes a few extra gems for her early levels, and then when her materials come up, her material costs are very low. For her standard materials, she takes 5 Black Beast Grease, 5 Talons of Chaos, 9 Divine Wines, and 9 Hearts of a Foreign God, meaning to max out all of her skills, other than these slight gem increase, we only need 15 Grease, 15 Talons, 27 Wines, and 27 Hearts. That is extremely cheap. Thank you, BB. Very nice of you. So how does Summer BB stack up to her competition? Well, as a 5-star AoE Moon Cancer, she has no real direct competition. She's one of a kind. However, let's compare her versus normal BB first. So, compared to normal BB, I would say normal BB overall is better at doing what Summer BB's class is supposed to, beating up Avengers. It's not often that you're going to face a group of Avengers, usually they show up by themselves, and normal BB being single target works better for that. However, we will also compare Summer BB to generalized AoE servants and generalized support servants. When compared to generalized support or generalized AoE servants, let's do that first. Summer BB's lack of class advantage does mean she may not always quite measure up. She can perform very well, but she won't be your first choice in most cases. In general, you're going to have a better servant to deal with those archers, or those sabers, or even those berserkers. You could take a foreigner instead. She'll do fine, but she's not going to have that class advantage, and that kind of hurts her abilities. Now, if we compare her to supports, though, she is a very high-ranked support. She may not quite be at the levels of Waver, Merlin, Scotty, and Tamamo, the big 4, but she is still incredibly valuable and maybe just a tier below them, mainly due to her 3rd skill being able to enable very powerful 3-turn setups. So, when she's compared to herself, it turns out that BB is just a little bit better than BB. Compared to other general AoE servants, she falls a little short, but compared to other supports, she has a one-of-a-kind niche that no one else can fulfill, and is very powerful because of it. In my personal opinion, Summer BB is extremely good. She is a reasonably strong AoE servant at a base, but even more important is her 3rd skill, which provides that unique setup to guarantee your damage dealer's cards for 3 turns. It can be instrumental in changing a long fight into a 3-turn stomp. I can't understate how good this skill can be. So, if you roll for Summer BB, which skill should you prioritize in leveling? I would suggest her 2nd skill first, considering it does a little bit of everything, and as I've always mentioned, NP generation on demand is always good to have. So, why wouldn't you want the good MP gen plus 4 extra skills, right? Now, next up, I would take Self-Modification EX as her 2nd skill to level up. It increases her damage output greatly, along with being able to force some of those stars onto her, and allows her to crit through just about anything. When I say she can deal without having a class advantage pretty reasonably well, this is one of the skills that helps out with it the most, because that 50% bonus crit damage is really powerful. And finally, Faceless Moon, her 3rd skill, can be left relatively low level, It's always going to have its most powerful ability locked in, and that is locking in those command cards, and that's never going to get stronger by leveling up. All it's going to do is increase your star regen from 5 up to 10 at max. At the end of the day, though, I do suggest maxing out each one of these skills. They're all very good, and even just having those extra 5 stars per turn can be quite instrumental in making sure that your main damage dealer, which may or may not be Summer BB herself, will be able to have those stars available and get those big crits. So what craft essences should you equip this girl with? Considering she has 2 styles to her, either a damage dealer or a support, we've got kind of 2 different sets of command cards to focus on. For her damage setup, you generally want to do something like Victor of the Moon, Aerial Drive, or the Black Grail, something with Busters ups, Crit ups, or MP damage up. Victor of the Moon will give you 15% Buster up and 25% crit damage. Aerial Drive gives you 10% Buster up, 10% MP damage up, and 50% starting charge, which combined with her second skill lets you use her MP right away if you want to. And the Black Grail gives her 80% NP damage up at the cost of only 500 HP per turn, and her second skill can heal up to 3000 HP, basically negating all of the downside of the Black Grail. As for supporting, you generally want to probably bring some extra star generation, so I would suggest Fragments of 2030. It will provide you 8 stars at the end of each turn, or 10 if it's max limit broken, and if you combine that with her third skill, you have upwards of 20 stars being created at the end of every turn just by her being on the field. That is pretty damn potent. That's nearly a guarantee of at least 1 critical hit. As for servants to group her with, first off, well, look, it's Waver. What a surprise. He has up to 50% MP charge up, attack up, critical damage up, defense up, a no-brainer. Now, she is a Buster servant, so our premier Buster support, Merlin, makes an appearance here. Due to his Hero Creation EX and BB's natural ability to gain stars for herself, you can line up quite the incredibly powerful Buster turn for her, with a Buster from her MP followed by 2 Buster cards that crit, that can get insanely high damage. Millions of damage can be put out with that kind of setup. And finally, along with them, any strong attack servant is a good servant to pair with Summer BB. Again, her third skill can set anyone up for an incredible amount of success. Nothing feels quite as good as having Melt locked in for her Noble Phantasm, followed by 2 quick cards with Scotty buffs for 3 turns, guaranteeing crit to crit to crit, and a full MP regeneration, for example. And that's just one example. There are many examples out there of Summer BB basically breaking the game with that skill. It's pretty cheat tier. So too long didn't watch? Summer BB is a great role. Very good. She is the only 5-star Moon Cancer available for now. She functions well as both an attacker and a support. She has a unique ability that enables very strong 3-turn setups. And she comes in Gyaru form, look at that tan. But if you really needed another reason for it, well, I mean, it's not like you have a choice in the matter. So of course, let me know your opinions on Summer BB, and if you enjoyed watching this video, check out my Twitch and all that. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.